Qualifying for the World Cup has to be one of the greatest things, that's ever happened to me so far in my career. This goes out to anyone, just not even soccer players, just be you, do what you love. Don't be afraid to be yourself.
Welcome back to the SOCCER.COM channel with Timothy Weah. Tim, thanks for joining us, man.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
We want to talk about your journey from childhood to where you are today. So what is your first soccer memory as a child?
Definitely my mom being my first coach. She was the one that really got me into it. Obviously my dad played, but mom was definitely my first coach, and from the intramural days, those were my first memories.
What influence did your dad have on your career?
I think a huge influence. He was the foundation of everything. His history, playing, obviously one of the best to play the game. He's definitely one of the biggest reasons why I kept fighting to get to where I am now.
Do you feel any weight of expectation as George Weah's son?
No, not really. I think of it as a blessing, and he's never really put that pressure on me. It's always been just do your thing, and my whole life it's always been just play the way I know how to play, enjoy the game, and do what I love. I never see it as pressure, it's just motivation.
Love that.
Yeah.
Cool, and moving on to the present day now, what would you say your strengths are as a football player?
I love to use my speed on the field. Thank you, Dad, for giving me that. But just overall understanding of the game, intelligence, knowing when to make the right moves, knowing when to slow the game down. I feel like I'm somebody that can definitely control the game with just pace or how I slow it down. So yeah, definitely that, and overall just the passion and love for it, I guess.
Yeah, you can't lose that.
Yeah, for sure.
Lots of young players looking up to you now, but who did you look up to as a young player?
Number one is definitely always going to be my father. Definitely one of my biggest role models. But with that being said, I think that we all have a couple of them. I think watching guys like Ronaldinho, Neymar, Ronaldo, Messi, the list can go on, Kaká, all those players, you take a piece from everyone.
And you're obviously playing at the top level now, but even today, are you still watching other professionals, and do you model your game around players that are playing maybe alongside you or playing against you?
Yeah, definitely. I tend to watch my opponents a lot. I feel like watching film and knowing how the game is developing is also good, and I think with time your game should change, because it's a way to adapt to how fast the game is moving now. And I think players like Kylian, definitely someone that we all look up to, and we all want to do the things that he's doing. So yeah, sure.
Cool. And you've obviously played in different leagues around the world, different continents. Can you talk about transitioning into a different club, a different league, a different environment? How do you deal with that, and what makes it exciting, difficult, special?
Yeah, I think it's always exciting when you're getting a new experience. Me leaving PSG, I had some of the best times of my life there. Playing alongside some of the greatest that have ever played was amazing, and learning from them has been great. And figuring out what my next move was, going to Celtic, living in Scotland, new country, never lived in the UK. It was the first time, and just gaining that experience and the love and the passion that those people have for the game is amazing. Celtic, the atmosphere there was amazing. So I think you get the best of both worlds. Sometimes there's negatives, sometimes positives, and me making the move was super positive. And now I'm at LOSC, where the fans are amazing. I'm blessed to be here. The team is amazing, the city's amazing, and I couldn't ask for anything else.
Can we talk about your best memory as a football player?
I think winning my first cup with the national team, and qualifying for the World Cup has to be one of the greatest things that's ever happened to me so far in my career. Maybe
in the World Cup, but even beyond the World Cup as well. What do you hope to achieve in football? What are your aspirations as a player? It all comes down to happiness.
I think if I had a whole career of winning everything and I was never happy, I don't think it would have been worth it. So I think just generally being happy and just continuing to have that passion and that drive and that love is definitely the most important thing to me. So definitely happiness, yeah.
And you mentioned a little bit about staying healthy. You've had a few injury issues in the past. I wanted to talk about how has being injured like that made you appreciate the game even more?
It's crazy because, you know, a lot of people get injured and they think it's the end of the world. But when I got injured, I think it was time that was needed, you know, to refocus on myself, rebuilding, being with family. I think that was one of the best parts about it. Obviously, you want to be on the field 24/7.
Sure.
But you know, life hits you, and what can you do?
And going back to the US men's national team now, can you explain a little bit more about what going into a US camp is like and what it's like being around that team?
Oh man, it's fun. Going into a camp, you've known everyone. Like I've known some of the players my whole life. Tyler, Mark. Me and Mark used to play with each other when we were 11. So going into national team camp, you know everyone. It's good vibes. It's just fun. It's like a getaway.
And taking that team bonding into the World Cup, what are you hoping to achieve as a group at the World Cup?
You know, make it where you can make it and go as far as you can. I think that's everyone's goal. The ball's round, anything can happen. Obviously, there's odds, and you know, there's teams that are expected to win it. But World Cup football is different. You know, you push, you strive for greatness, and you know, you'll be rewarded. So I think we just have to go in there with the mindset that, you know, not to be scared of anyone, just play our game and do our thing. Switching
it up now to a little bit of off-field chat. Let's talk about some of the stuff that you're interested off the field. I know you've already talked about producing some music. Could you tell us a little bit more about that and how that came about initially?
Man, my whole life I've always had a passion for music. From you know, school rides in the car with my mom, listening to oldies like Luther Vandross, Sade Adu, the list goes on, Earth, Wind and Fire.
Yeah.
You grow up on music like that, you tend to drift towards it. And you know, when I was young, I used to be in band class, so I used to play the violin.
Okay.
But yeah, it's weird, but yeah, I think it started from a young age, and as I've gotten older, and you know, I've gotten the funds to kind of have my own studio and be able to go in there and just vibe with my best friend. It's fun, and we create, we enjoy, and yeah, it's a vibe for sure.
Cool. So can you still play the violin a little bit?
No, I can't play it. I forgot how to play that.
Okay.
Yeah, after a few years, you tend to lose it, but I definitely want to learn how to play the piano. I think that's top on my list.
And so, like, in terms of musical influence, like, you mentioned some of the oldies, but like, what's influencing you now, and what kind of music are you making yourself?
I'm a bit all over the place. I love R&B. I love hip hop. I mean, I take bits from every type of genre. You know, whether it's soul, whether it's rock. I think it's all connected.
Can we find your music somewhere? Like, where can we?
Maybe in the future.
Little plug here.
Yeah, sure. I got an album cooking up for y'all.
Love it, love it. We're looking forward to seeing that.
Sure.
Cool. And moving on to fashion now, you're obviously a fashionable guy and very into that world as well. Could you explain maybe some of your influences in the fashion world?
I think as I've gotten older, I've started to love fashion more, started to see the artistic side of it. And I think that fashion is much more, it's deeper than clothes. It comes from, you know, just, if you look at a piece of artwork, you know, look at Basquiat, what he was creating was amazing. And I think that's what fashion is. It's being yourself and owning you. I would definitely say Virgil, because he definitely changed the game in terms of like streetwear and stuff like that.
Would you say like these kind of off-field interests that you have, does that help you on the field, do you feel like maybe to take your mind off football the whole time, or how do you see that like fitting into your profession? I feel like when you think about football too much, it can tend to, you know, mess with your head a bit. So I think these little getaways, whether it's fashion, music, whether it's, you know, taking a daily walk in the park, whatever you're doing, I think it's super dope to just get away and free your mind. We've got a lot of young aspiring football players watching our channel. I wonder if you had one or two pieces of advice for up and coming professional football players that want to make it in the game. My thing is just don't ever let anyone take your love away from whatever you're doing. This goes out to anyone, just not even soccer players, you know, just be you, do what you love. Don't be afraid to be yourself. You know, show people that, you know, your way of doing things it might not be orthodox, but it's how you do it, and
just so that you're down for what you believe in, and yeah, you'll make it for sure.
Great advice.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's all the questions I have for you.
Perfect.
Tim Weah, thanks so much, man.
Appreciate you,
Appreciate
bro.
it.
Love.